Hey there, philosophy time, short. Developing kindness. A middle-aged businessman came to me restless and dissatisfied with his life. Richard often bickered with his wife and his kids seemed to avoid him. He knew he was critical of his family and employees but did not know how to change. The first thing I suggested was that Richard keep a record of words he spoke or things he did at work or home that he would consider unkind. When he came back the next week and told me, when I looked back over my day and listed my unkind words and actions, I realized I needed to change. Just realizing how unkind he could be was a major step in Richard's becoming a kind person. Then it was time for him to deal with his past failures. Each night he reflected on ways he might have hurt people that day. The next day he returned to people to whom he'd been unkind and apologized. It was one of the most life-changing weeks in my life, he said. By the end of the week, I felt like I had broken a negative pattern. He smiled. There's nothing like apologizing to motivate a person to change his behavior. The rubble of past failures had been cleared. He was now ready to begin building a new lifestyle of kindness. I suggested he start with his family. I think it would be easier to start at work. Much of what people call kindness, I said, is simply human manipulation to get someone to buy our product or treat us with kindness. That's not the kindness to which we aspire. We are talking about acts and words of kindness designed to benefit the other person. We're not talking about the mere niceties of good manners. We're talking about kindness flowing from true love. Okay, Richard said, then I'll start at home. I think I've got it. I nodded, but I knew it was a lesson that would be repeated primarily because I know my own heart and how many times I have become discouraged at my own tendency towards unkindness. I encouraged Richard to dedicate himself each morning to seeing opportunities for kindness in both his family and at work. Months later, Richard said to me, "It was the beginning of the best chapter in my life. My wife and children are into kindness big time, and my work atmosphere has become much more pleasant. As a counselor, I am thrilled to see Richard experiencing the fruit of being kind. No one wakes up one morning and decides, from now on, I will be a kind person. Kindness, like every characteristic of love, develops over time as we open our hearts and minds to becoming more loving people. We begin by agreeing with this purpose. Yes, I want to have a life characterized by kindness. Knowing that the false self is egocentric, we must consciously learn how to keep kindness on our agenda every day." So, pay it forward. After Aaron's son was born, Jessie offered to watch him whenever Aaron and her husband needed a date. She also passed on books and games that her kids weren't using anymore and always seemed to have a little gift for the baby when she saw him. One evening, as Aaron strapped her son into his car seat after Jessie had spent the day babysitting, Aaron asked if there was something else she could do for Jessie. She asked cautiously because she wasn't sure if she would have the time or energy to help with much. "Oh no," Jessie said. "So many people have helped us over the years. It's nice to be able to pass it on." Although Jessie didn't use the term, she was showing the value of paying it forward. When someone does something kind for us, we want to pass that kindness on to others. Many of us are familiar with the phrase "pay it forward" from Catherine Ryan Hyde's novel Pay It Forward and the Warner Brothers film adaptation of the same name. In fact, writers and philosophers have explored this aspect of kindness for decades, even centuries. Consider this letter from Benjamin Franklin, written on April 22nd, 1784. "Dear Sir, I've received yours of the 15th instant and the memorial it enclosed. The account they give of your situation grieves me. I send you herewith a bill of 10 louis d'ors. I do not pretend to give such a sum, I only lend it to you. When you shall return to your country with a good character, you cannot fail of getting into some business that will in time enable you to pay all your debts. In that case, when you meet with another honest man in similar distress, you must pay me by lending this sum to him, enjoining him to discharge the debt by a like operation when he shall be able, and shall meet with another opportunity. I hope it may thus go through many hands before it meets with a knave that will stop its progress. This is a trick of mine for doing a deal of good with a little money. I am not rich enough to afford much in good works, and so am obliged to be cunning and make the most of a little. With best wishes for the success of your memorial and your future prosperity, I am, dear sir, your most obedient servant, B. Franklin. Franklin was acknowledging that the most powerful way to return someone's kindness is to pass the kindness along to someone else. In this way, he could take the little he had to give and let it multiply. One of the best things about loving authentically is that it energizes us. When we are kind to others, we look for other ways to be kind, and when others are kind to us, we are motivated to pass that kindness on. When someone acts kindly towards you, make it a point to perform a similar act of kindness to someone else. Be kind, show love, spread it throughout the world.